a little bit, but it was a terrible look for him to freak out on the umpire in the first inning of Game 4, which got Farrell tossed, which I didn't mind that Farrell was out of it. I think our chances of winning might have even gone up a little. But
yeah, probably.
But it was just a terrible look. You want your team locked in, and able to respond with their bats and not, with their mouth screaming at the umpire. And they just weren't locked in, really. And it was just, there was so much about that team last year that I hated. And luckily this year, things seem to be a lot lighter. Like you said, Holt and Martinez. I think Martinez has had a great, impact on this team, and obviously with his bat as well. So
he's been everything. He's been everything and more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've said on previous episodes, that part of me was a little worried we were getting Adrian Gonzalez 2.0, the way the contract negotiations were going and the rumors and whatnot, but. I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. I mean, we got him on a great deal, and the Yankees have Stanton for the next 10 years.
I know. We're going to have to deal with, we might have to deal with one of those deals soon, because if JD keeps hitting like this and he hits like this next year, he is an opt-out.
Yeah.
And he can opt out, and if he wants to opt out and say, I want $25 million a year now, $30 million a year for the next 7 years, then you're like, okay, now we got to make a decision.
Well, I think
at least.
Well, go ahead, Austin.
Well, I was just gonna say, at least now we know it was Boris.
Yeah,
just the way it wasn't JD, because JD, we know now that JD's not that kind of guy that's demanding money.
No, and I think it's always Boris. I think you always have to assume he's
anytime
one of the biggest
his name
scumbags
is on there.
Money.
Yeah, anytime his name is on there, you have to know that the way the contracts are going, what might not reflect what kind of player you're getting.
Yeah, 100%.
The other thing, too, is he's going to be, I think, 33. I'm kind of moving around because my laptop came unplugged. He's going to be 33 once his opt-out pops up. And if this performance keeps up, I think the Red Sox are going to be perfectly fine with like a 4-year, $100 million deal. Because he's only getting $25 million a year of his 110, I think, for the first 3 years of the deal. So I don't think, as long as it's only like a 4-year deal, I think the Red Sox will pay top dollar for him if the performance keeps up.
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely keep it going. I mean, he's 30 right now, and his opt-out will be at 32. Okay. And then, like you said, it goes from $23 million down to $19 million with total salary and all that fun stuff, because there was the signing bonus, whatever. And, if he opts out at 32 and you sign him to a 5-year extension, then he'd be playing until he's like 37. So, I mean, that's not awful by any means.
Right.
But once you get to year like 6, 7, and you keep asking for that at 32, it's just not going to happen in today's baseball.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
There is, but you'll always get a bad team like San Diego or the Phillies.
San Diego's
going to give you. Example. I mean, not even the Phillies, because they're a good team, but they had some questionable contracts going into it because no one knew they were going to be a contender. So you look at San Diego, Will Myers and Eric Hosmer. I mean, those are big deals. Eric Hosmer specifically a big deal for a team that's not contending this year and probably not next year. Ever. I mean, they got some prospects. They got Espinoza from us. They got a couple, actually. They have, I think it's Fernando Tatis Jr., I think his name is.
Yeah, he's in San Antonio right now.
He's by you. He's phenomenal, that kid.
He is pretty amazing.
That kid's going to be the real deal. And they got another kid down there. I think he's a second baseman or shortstop as well in single A. And he's good, too. And, I mean, if you get those guys up with Hosmer and with Myers, and you got Espinoza, you got Brad Hanna, a good deal.
Still have Margot.
Yeah, Margot. They'll be okay. But, yeah, I mean, they're just not ready yet. So I think the money is always going to go somewhere. But, yeah, I don't think that you can ask at 33 years old for a 7-year extension. But you could ask for a 3-year, $60 million extension.
I think he'll get at least 4 years at that point, for basically market value type money, I think. And
that could be a lot, too.
Maybe a vesting option in there as well. But, I mean, he could be a DH as well. So I think I think mostly American League teams are going to be the ones that pursue him the most aggressively, I would think. And also, though, of concern, I know we're talking him up here, but he was removed from the game, and Fox kind of showed some footage. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, where he was kind of talking to a trainer about his back, it seemed like.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked like just a little back tightness, some stiffness going down there when he looked like he was trying to rotate his hips.
Yeah.
So what it looked like.
Hopefully it's nothing.
Yeah, it just looked like a little.
Well, we know how like detailed he is with his swing. So he could be nitpicking, finding something
that's a good
allow
point.
me to rotate my hips enough, and I don't want to. Do something that could possibly hurt me.
Yeah.
He's big on details. Plus, I think they want to get Sam Travis in, honestly.
That's a good thing.
It worked.
Let's talk about him real quick, actually. How are you guys on him? I'm a huge Sam Travis guy. I'm a beaming optimist when it comes to him.
I want him to do really well. I don't have anything against him. I think that if given the opportunity, he might turn into a Moreland-type player. I don't think he'll get the Gold Glove defense, but he's got some pop in his bat, and he's a big kid. So I like that aspect of him, but he just doesn't get the playing time because, where do you put him?
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, but where are you going to find that time?
It's like a Bryce Brent situation. Bryce Brent hit like 47 home runs in the minors last year. But where are you going to play him? Even JBJ, you're not going to play him over JBJ.
True. One solution that comes to mind, I don't know how ideal it is, would be to put him kind of in left field quite a bit, shift Benny over to center, and then Bradley becomes the odd man out at that point. But and then you could always rotate him and JD between left field and DH, obviously. I definitely wouldn't. With Travis, yeah. I wouldn't take at-bats away from Moreland. I kind of...
you can't. I mean, he has like 3 home runs less than George Springer right now.
Right.
The fan base has fallen in love with him, and I love it.
Dude, he's
Mike Law.
Yeah.
He's boring, too, which is the greatest part.
He is Mike Law. That is a great comparison. He is just a Mike Law.
Yeah. And what Austin says, he just fits, and his personality is good. Nothing phases him. He seems very selfless. I mean, we didn't hear anything coming out of the clubhouse that, Moreland's pissed off, he's not in the lineup, when he didn't play, for a lot during April. And
no, I think he just wants to help the team win. He's 17-2, and he's like, wow, we're crushing it. I'm making $5 million sitting on the bench. This is great.
Right.
You got to remember that this is a guy that's been to 2 World Series, so he's hungry to get back.
Right. And
lose both of them in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, especially, 2011 against the Cardinals?
Yeah, the freeze year.
Yeah. That was...
Exactly. Got the ring robbed right off his finger. One of his favorite quotes.
I like that Texas team a lot, too. Beltre was on it, and Cliff Lee was on it.
Michael Young,
one of
Michael
years.
Young's last year.
Yeah.
That's your guy, isn't it, Austin?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Another
not my guy.
Another cool thing about Moreland. A cool thing about Moreland, though, is last year when he was first brought to the team, the Indians offered him more money last year to play for them, but he turned it down because he wanted to play 81 games a year at Fenway Park.
Yeah, because he wanted to play in front of fans, because he didn't play in front of any in Texas in the last couple of years, and Cleveland is so bad that for fans that they have an attendance bonus in Edwin Carcion's deal.
It's because they spend all their money at Cavs games. They can't afford
Indians
tickets.
It is right across the street,
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I like the Indians, though. And I'd love to play for Francona if I were a player, but thank goodness, he signed here, and thank goodness Dombrowski brought him back, because it made not a whole lot of sense at the time, so...
I was excited when they did, because I thought they were going to dump Hanley, so I was like, this is great. We're going to get rid of Hanley.
And I wasn't a Hosmer guy, as I've said on previous episodes, especially for the rate that he was going to sign at. And
no, he's an above average player that got hot at the right time. Right. If you look at his advanced analytics, Terry, because I know you're getting into that.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not that guy. He's not that big, $200 million type of player.
Right. He hits for average, which is nice, but
oh yeah, he does, and
yeah.
he plays a good first base.
Yeah.
And he does have some pop. What do you think? Probably 20 home runs a year out of him, but the 30 home runs a year is going to happen.
Can you afford 20 home runs from a first baseman at this point in this league?
It just depends where you're getting things from your other players.
That's my thing. I don't think I can afford only getting 20-25 from a first baseman.
Yeah.
You can if you're the Yankees and your catcher's hitting 25.
You're right.
It just depends. It just honestly depends where you value. Like I say it all the time on this podcast, I value center field and catcher as just straight up defensive slots. I think you need a slot in the field defensively. I think you need someone behind the plate personally. So I don't care about JBJ not hitting. I don't care about Stanley Young, Vasquez, whoever you want to put. As long as they can call a good game and keep that pitcher ERA low, and JBJ keeping everything in front of him in the outfield, saves a lot of runs, helps everybody out. You can get the other 8 guys to help you out in the field.
Well, and the perfect team, like for your not theory, but example, right? Valuing center field and catcher, right? Was the Twins' early season before the injuries. So you had Castro behind the plate, excellent defensive catcher.
Yep.
Excellent. Then you had Buxton in center.
Yep.
Two guys that are going to save runs drastically.
Yep. And then you had guys that could hit for power like Sano, Dozier. Yeah. And then the only thing that team didn't have that the Red Sox have is starting pitching.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate because I don't think anybody really expected Santana to be out this long, and Barrios isn't quite as consistent.
He's in his sophomore slump.
Yeah, he's just he'll pitch a great game to get your hopes up, and then just kind of tank. And is Sano really healthy? Because he's had issues going back to last year.
Yeah, he's been on and off all year. I think on the not the DL but day to day.
Right. Yeah, so that's a team that must be pretty frustrated because I picked them to win the Central, and they still can because, the Indians aren't exactly killing it right now. But I loved a lot of their offseason moves, and Lance Lynn is another guy. A lot of those pitchers who signed late just aren't doing very well. Lance Lynn was one of them. Cobb got off to a rough start. Darvish is looking like one of the worst signings of last season.
He was an awful signing. I'm so happy the Red Sox didn't go near him before this. Obviously, anybody can sit here and say, oh, yeah, he's awful. But, you just look at his numbers in the last couple of years and his age, and it's just not worth 7 years.
Right.
6 years.
No, absolutely not.
And a lot of those Japanese guys, I think age 30 tends to, be a little worse on them because they tend to have a lot of mileage on their arms before they even get over here. So, look at how fast Daisuke burnt out. He was basically done at 31, even though, and I think it was, 2012 and maybe, I think 2011, 2012, he tried to come back and just couldn't do it,
Yeah, it's because, look at, they don't have pitch counts out there. They throw 100,000 pitches.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they rely a lot on a breaking ball, too, which is a problem because as you get older, that elbow is just deteriorating.
Yeah, look at Ohtani already.
Darvish doesn't have the slurve that he did, It doesn't have the same amount of break. Nothing, because those pitchers like that rely 90% on their breaking balls. And you can't fool anybody.
Don't forget the gyro ball either.
Gyro ball.
Remember when he arrived in Boston and there were helicopters following his entourage or whatever, his convoy?
Ridiculous.
That
was the best. That was like when we had to get what's his face in to be the catcher for Wakefield, and we had we had the escort from the state police.
Oh, true. Mirabelli.
Doug Mirabelli. We reacquired him just for Wakefield.
Yeah, he sprinted into the stadium. He was trying to button his pants and tighten his belt.
that was peak Red Sox owned Boston. They could do anything they wanted and get away with it back then.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that's right. Let's transition over to the curious case of Mookie Betts. What's really going on?
He's got a
Are
nagging...
you surprised with this organization?
I mean, we're not.